Hello and welcome to Gierok Farms. It is a nice early summer day today. It's Memorial Day weekend here. Happy Memorial Day to you guys, and I wish you guys are remembering what it's all about, yet having a good time at the same time. Today we gotta get ready for first cutting. Hay's getting there. So Dad, he's been getting the tractors ready this morning. He just washed up the 7810 and now he just did the 7510. Fueled them both up, and now we're gonna start hooking up some equipment. We gotta put the disc spine on the 7510 and the chopper on the 7810. Before we head down there to hook up, we gotta do a little bit of greasing. We gotta grease this front end here for the four-wheel drive knuckles. Down to the other shed with the 7510 and grab the disc spine, get that hooked up and bring it up to the yard so it's ready when we need it. I was talking to Dad, and it sounds like all three of our main John Deeres are ready to go and have enough hours left on the service or have recently been serviced. So they're greased and checked over. The main part of the fleet anyways should be ready to rumble, ready to get some first crop alfalfa in. There's a nice little break in between planting corn and cutting first crop hay this year. Sometimes if it's a wet enough spring, corn planting gets pushed back late enough to where they're almost right next to each other, but there was a plenty of big enough gap this year. Corn on the flats looking really nice. Looks like it emerged really well. The past week here it's been kind of dry, so hopefully after this hay that we get done, then we get a little bit of moisture to keep everything moving right along. So here it is, 630 Moco John Deere. Gotta get her hooked up and up to the yard. Make sure we don't have anything blocked up here in the back. Old M over there. We might end up having to use that a little more this year, being the Oliver's broke down yet. We just haven't had a whole lot of time to work on that tractor. Wish it would have happened 2-3 months sooner, then we could have messed with it this winter instead of during the growing season. But it can sit there for a little bit. Take too long to hook that up. That went pretty smooth, I think. We're actually in the market for a new disc spine. We've been kind of shopping around, so leave comments down below what brands you farmers out there have enjoyed using and had good luck with. The John Deere, it's cut a lot of acres. It's definitely been used, and I think it was a good buy. But now looking at the market, it looks like you can buy a competitor's disc spine for almost half the cost. So I'm sure it's probably built a lot lighter and cheaper, but for half the price, it's... So let us know what brands you guys know of that are good disc spines, and we're looking for something that will lay out a really wide windrow, a really wide swath. If you guys watch the channel, you know that we like making dry hay around here. So also on this lovely weekend, we got a lot of graduation parties to go to. So any of you that just graduated from high school or college or middle school or whatever, congratulations. I wish you the best of luck in whatever your next endeavor may entail. My brother Mason, he is just graduated. We had a ceremony at the school yesterday, and then his party is going to be next weekend. So this morning, my wife and my mother have been sprucing up the yard, getting that all looking nice, because we're going to have it out here. So yeah, congratulations to anyone who has graduated recently, and we hope you guys had a nice weekend. Now it's time to get the 7810 ready and switched over so that it can run the chopper. So Dad's got to put his custom hitch on. And we got to change over the PTO.
You can do it. So then when you put it in the 1000 RPM spot, it's actually easier than putting it in the 540 spot. Okay, let me pull on it while you squeeze. Oh, it's still... Get more. There you go. See now, so that shaft, so you got your 540 and your 1000, and then there's a big 1000 too. It's just heavier on bigger tractors. Then you look in the end. Okay, so this one, it's just a little grease there. That's just a flat spot on that end. Now you turn it around. Now see that hole? Then you look inside that hole. I don't know if you can see in there, but there's a pin inside there. So when you flip it around, this shaft, so if you want to be in 540, we'll push that pin in, which I believe shifts it to, that's what shifts the gear. Because this is the part that turns. I actually really like this setup. So there's no oil here. This is a dry hole.
Yeah, even the newer John Deeres, I think, are still like this.
Yeah, I think they came up with this, and they... See, now the 1066, you got two splines sticking out. You know, one is, they're both running all the time. And the difference is then your drawbar to driveline height changes from 540 to 1000. So the drawbar we got to bring out, there's two positions. So what happens is when you go to 1000, from the end of this shaft to the center of this hole, you want 16, I think it's 16 inches. And if it's 540, it's got to be 14 inches. So right now it's set at 540. And the chopper, it actually reads right here, they want you at 20 inches. Okay, so in order to get 20 inches, there was a bracket that came with the chopper that you had to add onto your drawbar with. And I checked with John Deere. I actually wanted to see if I could just get a whole different drawbar that would have 3 positions in it instead of 2. It would have been easy enough for them to change that. But internationals, maybe some other brands do. Because the guy I bought the chopper from, he had an international, or a newer international or case or whatever. But so then I had my local welding shop make this up. And that basically slides on there and gives me this little extra. And I think the theory is, after doing these kind of things for so long, is where you got this swivel point, between that and here, the further distance you are, the more forgiving your knuckles or your drive line when you're turning. You know, you don't need that, what they call that extra joint in your PTO shaft, which is
Speaking of knuckles on a PTO shaft like that, I was just telling them how you're looking at trading up your disc spine, and that I asked them their opinion. Well, maybe they can give us their opinions also on that swivel deal and how beneficial that is, or if that's just more headaches dealing with that. Where
I got a brother I think he's got it, and it's on the 3-point. He loves it because, again, a crooked farm like ours, but hooking it up, I'm not sure how friendly that is. And maybe it's okay. We got enough tractors when we're haying, we just leave it hooked up. But
yeah,
I think if you unhook it in the right spot, I think you can, it's like a loader or anything else. So what really happens is the shaft, the gearbox is like right here, then your machine swivels off all of that. It's usually several thousand more. That's part of the kind of the decision maker, how much money you want to spend. And I guess I would like to think if you have a more square, level, longer, big fields where you're not turning all the time, it may not be as necessary. Because I did have a cutter one time. It was a good one. It did a nice job, but the drive line kept going bad for me because of how crooked everything was. And I did recheck my book, and all my settings were right. And it just was not designed for as crooked where you're turning and going through a dip at the same time. I mean, we can't avoid all that.
Yep. So give us your opinions on that. I'd love to hear them. If you guys can hear the carpentry in the background, that's Mason working on the side racks on his truck. They're turning out pretty nice. There we go.
Now, I've never seen any of those original ones that came with these machines too. This here was custom made just for this drawbar, which I like better. They always come loose, so you always want to check them. I had a disc bind like that one time that had that, and you would set it for the drawbar, and it always was wobbling around on there. I didn't like that. Okay.
So now we're working on the wiring, and we made a time restriction for ourselves. My wife, she just came to see what time we'd be done to go to a grad party. So now we're on the clock. We gotta hurry up.
Just take that up around the side there and stick that in that notch. Today we use zip ties. Years ago we used baling twine. Whatever works. That will just lay in the door. Let's see.
Mason just reminded me, we were looking for a soap sponsorship.
We got ducks now. We could be sponsored by Dawn.
Yeah, we do have ducks. So Dawn, hit us up. We're willing to.
Run the oil on our ducks, so
No,
just our hands.
no oil, no oil spills here. The ducks are safe.
We could use a slogan like "Dojo, put on your hands, not your ducks."
Anyways, I think I have everything hooked up correctly. I had the wrong inoculant box. I mixed them up. I had the one for the baler at first. And then here's our control panel for our spout and our tip, and then our forward and reverse on our head, power switch on and off. So I'm gonna turn everything on and make sure it works, at least for the inoculant. Put some power there. That lit up there. There, I can hear it humming back there. Put it at a little over 1. And then we'll go check back there and see what's going on. Yeah, we're spinning. Putting on that product with that applicator, it's kind of fussy because it's such a potent product. And being a dry product. It's so hard to run it slow. I think our control panels are all hooked up. I'm gonna try to tuck all the cords in half decent, and I think the electronics are ready for the chopper anyways. Dad, he's out greasing that disc spine right now. Another thing we do too with all these electronics, we like to disconnect all of it in case it were to draw power overnight. We don't want to kill the batteries. We don't have a disconnect on the tractor, so we just unplug all this accessory stuff. Take our keys off. This is that other inoculant box I was talking about. This is for our dry hay. Also, if you guys know anything about disc spines, let us know what you think ours would be worth. How many acres are you putting on in a year, Dad?
Well, we got 100 acres of hay cut times 3, I suppose.
And then how many years have you had this?
Maybe 6 or 8 years now. I'd have to look back.
8 times 3, we'd be 2,400 acres.
Maybe
3,000.
Maybe under that, because some of that stuff's pastured after first cut. But yeah, I mean, it's in about as good a condition as you'll find them, as far as the age and what it cut.
So right now he's adjusting the flow on his hydraulics. There's valves back there that he can adjust one way or the other to crank up the speed and the amount of flow. Grab some oil for the chains. I think he wants to run it and oil up all the chains. Make sure everything moves. Earlier, I thought he already did this, but we gotta change the oil on the 7810 too. So.
I just talked about it. I didn't actually do it.
Why is that? Who put that on like that?
Who put that on there?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Knuckle buster. Hey, you got it. Yeah, you can't change oil without spilling a little. You know, if you're gonna do it right, you gotta end up spilling some, right?
Well, you missed it. Mason thinks we need a soap sponsorship from like a shop soap. So if any of you sell that stuff.
Yeah, well, a bag of kitty litter.
Look at that. I can't look like that. Not on YouTube. Yeah, somebody's got to keep us clean.
Just don't drop that in that bucket. There you go. Oh, we spilled a little more. We're not done spilling yet. There you go. About 6 gallons. Doesn't happen often enough, I imagine.
And then we always have some plastic container you can kind of bend a little bit so you can get it in around stuff. Stuff, it's just some jug cut off, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And we could just let it drop down and it gets in between the framing, and then all the dust all summer likes to stick to it. And well, this one here we only change once a year. Usually I change it before hay time. And we ain't got much more than 100 hours on here now. I don't know. We probably could put more hours on, but once you start realizing what these machines are worth, you don't need to push the limit with the oil. I think it's usually time. What kind of conditions was it getting used in? Like with a lot of dust, and you probably want to change it more often. Usually 75 and a 74, I'm a little more often than that. We end up putting more hours on those. They're a manure tractor, and you're kind of doing bush hog work along with all sorts of chore stuff. This one here is kind of just gets the bulwark, and that doesn't last as long. Chopping, we got about a day and a half here for first cutting. Second crop we bale, and then third crop we can usually chop it all in one day. I used to just fill up a whole 5-gallon bucket out of the barrel, and it's hard to get it in between here, and then you gotta have a corner and make sure you don't spill it. But the measure is usually better. When you start something like this, you want to finish it, because if you walk away and make a phone call or get distracted, next thing you know, somebody else on the farm starts it up and drives off with it. It could be a disaster. The kind of story you don't want to even know. So the other two Johnnies take 5 gallons each. The 1066 takes 5 gallons. This one takes 6 gallons. I'm not sure. The Bobcat maybe 2.5 or something like that. I think they kept count for me. Did I put one too many or one not enough? Let's see.
Big reveal.
It should read above the mark.
Yeah, and I'll suck some into the filter, I think, you're in the ballpark.
So then we'll run it a little bit, and then we just check it tomorrow.
Yep. I thought of something when we were putting away all the oil change stuff. Someone sent us some really neat mail about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. 2 hammers. 2 bigger hammers too.
Like blacksmith hammers.
Yeah.
Just a story about it.
Yeah, and he knew the background of them. Apparently he collects and refurbishes tools. So big shout out and thank you to you two for sending the letter and sending us the tools. That's we'll have to show that off sometime in a video. I think they're up in the house, or are they?
Oh, I'll go get them.
Oh, they're down here. All right.
Yeah, we had them up in the house, but hammers up in the house laying on the counter aren't. Somebody's gonna fumble something and get something broke. But anyway,
The one was from a railroad company or something like that.
sounds like he. This fella, I think he's an older retired guy, but he put these holes in here. It looks like from a die grinder or something, and then burnt with a torch to get the look. But even some kind of trick about the way he puts them up in here, instead of just putting somehow to get them to swell or to. I don't remember now how that.
I was reading. I think he messed around with JB Weld too down in here and to try to seal all that up nice. And
they're almost too nice to put in our rig.
Yeah, the old guy almost hates to use them.
But I mean, right now we do have plenty of hammer stuff over there for our blacksmith work, but I don't know. You never know. Between you guys and maybe grandkids someday, this could be like, okay, you can use these.
Yeah, we won't lose them. That's for
So
sure.
I found a special place for them right now.
Yeah, so thank you for sending us the mail, and thank you to anyone else who's ever sent us any mail, especially cool stuff like that. That stuff's gonna last.
Neat stuff, though.
If you guys heard the welder in the background, it's this. It's
Let's see what kind of pretty weld he got here. This guy, he not too shabby.
yeah.
Not too shabby for the gas is out on our wire feed, so he's using the arc.
Yep. Old school. So we are finishing up here this afternoon. Dad's putting the date on his filter right now, so we can reference back to that when we have to change oil again. We got a graduation party to go to this afternoon, so we're gonna end off the video here. Thank you all for watching. If you ever wanted to send us mail, the P.O. box is down in the description. And thank you to anyone who has ever sent us mail. We really appreciate that stuff. And then also, if you want to see more of us, you can check us out on all the other social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. We try to post on there every once in a while. But anyways, that's going to be it. Make sure to check out our other videos and stay tuned for the haying videos.